From the man himself, you've been to see him, Amir Khan. Do you think the British public have fallen out of love with him?
Well, he's certainly concerned about that because he says that the title he's won, the WBA crown, is not one of the plastic world titles we've been talking about. It's a title that Ricky Hatton held not too long ago, but still Khan feels that the recognition hasn't been as widespread as he'd hoped for.
I thought, it might have been a lot more than it is. Maybe it hasn't hit them the way Jenson Button hit them when Jenson Button won the Formula 1 championship, because...
Why do you think that is? Is it because of where it was on TV, or is it more than that?
No, you know what? I think people expected me to win a world title because I think in the sport I was doing that well as a boxer. They expected me to become a world champion, whereas Jenson Button come from nowhere and won a world championship. So I think people expected it. I think that's why there's not really a big hoo-ha about it. But it doesn't really bother me because, no matter what, if there was or if there wasn't, I'm still going to be the same person as I am. It's not changing me as a person. My feet are going to be firmly on the ground. It's not going to make me big-headed or anything. I'm still going to be a normal guy who lives in Bolton, family man, and a guy who respects everyone.
Do you think the attitude to you has changed since 2004 when you left the Olympics and you were a national celebrity? Do you think it's quietened down a bit, or...?
No, I think it's gone more, to be honest with you. I think more people know me now than before. Everywhere I go around the country, even around the world now, I'm more known. So it's a nice feeling. But maybe in 2004 when it happened, I wasn't used to it. I didn't know what to expect. It hit me unexpectedly. But now, because I know it's going to come after every fight, I'm going to be getting bigger and getting more recognised. Maybe I know how to cope with it. I know how to adapt.
Do you think that maybe there's a lack of understanding about how a young prospect in boxing has to be raised, and some of your early quick wins were dismissed as being somebody who was given an easy ride?
That's right. Them fights were easy. I made them easy. Them fights could have gone the full distance and could have been wars. But I chose not to war and use my brains and knock these guys out before he gets into a war. Look, anything can happen. You can catch an injury, you can get a cut, or you can get caught with one shot, which would change a fight, which happened to me in the Prescott fight. So why risk it? If you know you can take someone out in the first round, take him out. But I think I was just special in that way, where I was better than most guys when they turn professional.
But maybe not everybody understood that. How do you feel sometimes when you walk to the ring or away from the ring and people boo you after all you've done?
I really think maybe it's a bit of jealousy or whatever, and I think it's one of them things with the British people. They hate others doing really well. I know for a fact I'm a better world champion than the likes of Carl Froch and them guys. I always get compared to people like Carl Froch, and they always diss me and stuff and say, maybe I think that's just jealousy, I think, because they ain't got the recognition that I've got. They ain't got the things I've got, and being 22, where were they when they were 22? I have to say, what I've done in this game, I don't think no 22-year-old's done for a long time. I think the other 22-year-old who I know who did this is a good friend of mine, which is Prince Nazim Hamed, and he also got a lot of stick for it. Maybe it's because I'm young. A lot of people don't expect the young people to do this. They expect you to be a bit more mature, like 28, 29, and then win a world title. Because I've done it at a young age, it's hard for people to believe that.
And you've taken yourself to train and build up to your fights in the United States.
That's right.
Any chance that you'll move over there and base yourself there full-time at any stage, just while you're boxing at least?
Well, you know what? I'm really considering moving abroad just so I can focus on my boxing career. This is why people know me is my boxing career. So I want them...
Not because you're disappointed with the reaction over here?
No, nothing like that. No, nothing like that. I love all the British people and all the British fans. Even that you get the boos or you get the haters out there, I don't mind, because at the end of the day, everything's a bonus. What I have achieved and all these fans, to me, is a bonus, because all I am is a boxer, and I'm a normal person with a bonus of people loving me for what I do, which I love doing. So, it doesn't really bother me. People dislike me or hate me. I'm just doing what I love doing, and as long as I keep winning, and now I'm world champion, not many people can do what I've done. Those people who hate me, let's see them go out there and win a world title the way I did. After a cushion defeat, most people would have give up, but I didn't give up. It made me train a lot harder and made me from a boy to a man.
That's Amir Khan talking to you, Mike. It's very interesting, isn't it, that he does feel that he's growing up. He's turned from a boy into a man, but, you know, as we've just been saying, he's got to start fighting some serious opponents. And I mean, where's his next opponent ranked?
Well, his next opponent is ranked by the WBA, I think, as number one, or it's a mandatory fight. He's Dimitri Salita. Perfectly good opponent. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, if you take, and I'm doing a lot of time travelling these days, if you take Salita back and you make him Ricky Hatton's first world title defence, Salita's better than the guy, possibly, I think, who Ricky Hatton fought in his first fight. You take him back and put him against Joe Kawasaki, he's better than Joe Kawasaki's first defence. The difference is, these guys are under a microscope. Those guys weren't. Ricky Hatton's first world title defence after he won the world title, he was sharing the bill with two other Manchester legends. And in fact, he wasn't really the top of the bill. The top of the bill that night was Gomez, Farnell and Ricky Hatton. And it was in a small place called the Velodrome. Joe Kawasaki's first defence was against a guy from Croatia called Branko Soba. Nobody cared about it. Hardly any tickets sold down in Cardiff. So in all fairness, you know, he is fighting a guy. It's going to be a 9,000 sellout in sports-starved Newcastle. But is the guy a top 10 guy? No. Is he a top 20 guy? No. And that's also part of the problem. With 4 recognised, and I use that in quotes, world sanctioning bodies, okay? They've all got to have someone at number 1, 2 and 3, okay? They've got some champions and some super... You know, the WBA at one point had a super bantamweight, and I'm sorry to bore you with this, it sounds a little bit in, and it is a little bit in. They had 4 different world champions. They gave them all a different title, but they were all essentially world champions, Ellie. So then if you take their top 10, they got 14 guys in the top 10. That's absolutely absurd. So I know I'm talking very fast, but with Salita, okay, he's a perfectly good and reasonable first defence. But I'd like to see Amir just back down a little bit. I mean, that challenging people to do what he's done, there's no need for that. People don't dislike him. People don't hate him. In fact, about 9,500 people are going to come out in Newcastle, Mike. It's going to be one of the best nights. We're going to be at ringside, hopefully for 5 Live, and it's going to be an absolutely rollicking night, and it's going to be a brilliant defence, first defence.
Yeah, and I think the point to make as well is that not everybody feels the way that we've just been talking about. In other words, there is some respect for what he's done. I promise you, I really do respect what he's done against Kotelnik. Whatever people might say about that opponent, it was in the same ring where 10 months earlier he was flattened in 50-odd seconds. And he came back and he beat a man, whatever you say about him, who held a prestigious version of the world title and won it really clearly as well.
Well, here's the view of the Olympic gold medalist from Beijing, James DeGale, on the treatment of Amir Khan.
What Amir gets, I think, is disgusting. Go to the Olympics for our country and we do well and come back, and there's a small minority that want to be silly and want to boo and that. But as I say, I've been lucky. I've just had loads of love and support.
We've heard from Amir, and a lot of people have tried to put their finger on why they think this is happening. He thinks maybe there's an element of jealousy there. Do you understand what's going on?
Yeah, oh, most definitely. Listen, mate, firstly, in the boxing world, because I think you mentioned, like, there's a couple of fighters that make a mistake. In the boxing world, there are a lot of big egos and a lot of jealous people, do you know what I'm saying? So Amir Khan's come back from Olympic with a silver medal. He's obviously got a bit of money, he's got a good sign on, he's this, that, he's driving nice cars, he lives in nice houses. So there is going to be jealousy. Yeah, it's a bit sad, it is sad.
Well, James DeGale, we're talking about the fact that he got some stick from the crowd on his first fight. I mean, where are these so-called boxing fans coming from if they're going to boo somebody in their first pro fight?
Well, I think that's one of the important points, that not all the crowds that make up these big events are just boxing fans. And this is what promoters, after all, are aiming at, is to create an event, something that's more than just a boxing contest. If you look at Amir Khan's last fight before he won the world title, he faced Marco Antonio Barrera. There's evidence that when the right two names are brought together, a place erupts, because the MEN Arena in Manchester was sold out, and it was sold out for a mixture of Khan and Barrera. So it can be done. But they are going to have to deal, I'm afraid, because of what I still call, as you referred to it earlier, the Audley Harrison factor. I think James DeGale is going to have some more hard nights to come from the crowd, because he's going to have some more fairly comfortable nights to come in the ring, because it's part of his progress as a young novice pro, just the same as Amir Khan went through that, and many other Olympic champions from around the world have done in the past.
And if these guys come out of the Olympics in 2012, hopefully come out 10 of them with gold medals, and they'll all have the same thing. They all risk being booed. There's been a time shift, and these guys, they're not going to be allowed to develop quietly. They're going to have to develop fast, and that's the trick, and it's going to be hard, and they're going to have to get used to the boos. It's not hate. People are just booing.
Again, going back to something I said on the last show, I was at Hatton's gym just recently, and he's got the poster up of the first professional fight he had. He's not even mentioned on the poster.
Good
so
point.
he was allowed to come in off the radar.
Yeah.